we're going to look at factoring 10h squared minus 9h minus 9, and we're going to use what's called the x box method. So I'm going to have an x and I'm going to have a box that we'll use. Now if you know how to factor, there's lots of different methods to factor. You can Google and find lots of different ways. I just suggest finding one that you understand and can do. This is one I found is pretty straightforward as far as finding the factors if we have some quadratic expression that is factorable. So using our x here first, what I'm going to do a times c, and that's going to go here, and then down in the bottom of the x is going to go b. Now remember where these come from. That comes from our quadratic, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. So my a is 10, my c is negative 9, so a times c is negative 90, and then b is negative 9. And then to the sides are going to go factors, two factors of 90 that will multiply and give me 9, but will add and give me negative 9. So I want two numbers that will multiply and give me negative 90 and add to give me negative 9. So we can look at this and say, okay, I could have 1 times 90, that's actually a negative 1 times a positive 90, or I can take a positive 1 times a negative 90. So again, I'm just going to do, instead of writing them twice, negative 1 times a positive 90, or it could be a positive 1 times a negative 90. So we're going to look and see, all right, how many of these do we have? And if you're not really good with finding pairs, I'm going to show you a good way on the TI. So just bringing this in, turn it on. This is a TI 83. It'll work for the 84 or really any graphing calculator. I'm going to put in, so let me clear this. I'm going to put in the 90 or negative 90. And I'm going to divide it by x. Now what this does, this will help me find the pairs that factor into 90. We want integers, okay? We don't want fractions or rationals. We want integers. Then once I put this in, I'm going to go second graph because I want that table to come up. So here's my table. So I'm going to go down to 1. And as you can see, 1 times negative 90, or it could be, if I go to the other side, negative 1 times positive 90. So I'm going to stay on the positive side. Oh, it looks like 2 and negative 45, or it could be negative 2 and a positive 45. So I'm going to just do plus minuses since we're talking about wanting a negative number here. And then it looks like 3 and negative 30. So that's going to be 3 plus or minus 3 times plus or minus 30. Not 4 because it doesn't go into it evenly. 5 and 18. So 5 times 18. And let's 6 and 15. 15. 7 doesn't, 8 doesn't, 9 and negative 10. And then at this point, we're going to see 10 and negative. So we're really just repeating what we already have. So I believe that is all the factors that will give me negative 90. Now, out of all of these, will any of them add to give me a negative 9? And as I go look, let's see. Looks like if I did a positive 6 minus 15, or positive 6 plus a negative 15, that would give me a negative 9. So those are that pair. That's the pair I want. And it doesn't matter which one goes where. I could have put negative 15 over here. That doesn't matter. So again, we can double check. This times this should give me negative 90, and then 6 plus a negative 15 should give me a negative 9, and it does. Now, once we've done this, I'm going to need those, and then we're going to go to our box over here. Now, in my box, I'm going to take this first, 10h squared, that goes in the first box. And then my -9, my C, goes in the second box. So this is going to be the ax squared term, and this is the C term. And then in these two boxes is where I'm going to put my 6 and my 15. And again, this doesn't matter. I could have switched these. This could have been -15. This could have been a +6. So these don't matter. These it does. Now we're going to factor this first set or first row. Greatest common factor. What's my greatest common factor? Well, it looks like 2 is the only thing. Oh, excuse me, I forgot my h's. These will all also have the variable in there, which happens to be the, because remember these two should give you the middle term, so I need that h. So my h, put it in there. Now I can factor a 2h, because I can get an h out of both of these and a 2. And then I'm going to look at the second row and my greatest common factor. Well, it looks like they both have negatives, so I can factor a negative out. And I can factor a 3 out of both of those, a 3. And then pull this down. And on here, they both have an h, so I can get at least one h. And it looks like I can factor a 5, not a 15, a 5. And look at the second column, and they both I can factor a 3 out of those, and that's going to be a plus, and this is plus a negative if you wanted to think of it that way. So what I have left, I have 2h minus 3, that comes from here, times 5h plus 3. And if you want to check yourself, you can FOIL this, multiply it, and see if you get what you get the quadratic expression we started with.